Welcome to The World According to Bo. Let's talk pot, cannabis, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. Most people don't understand the history of why it's illegal, so I thought I'd discuss it a little bit. At the turn of the 20th century, cannabis, as was commonly known then, was not used very often in the United States by Americans. In 1910, Mexicans began moving to the United States and they brought it with them. Their tradition of smoking marijuana followed them to the United States. This created an issue for the folks of the United States because they feared Mexican immigrants and they feared that the drug would circulate and cause all kinds of issues, and some of the allegations were that it would cause a lust for blood. In addition to that, the term cannabis was largely replaced by the term marijuana. Many people speculate that this rebranding of pot was done to promote the foreignness of the drug, therefore stroking xenophobia because of the color of people's skins. Around this time, states began passing laws to ban pot. In the 30s, they had the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, Harry J. Anslinger, turned the battle against marijuana into an all-out war. Even though the vast majority of scientists he surveyed claimed that the drug was not dangerous, he kept the fight going because he wanted to maintain his department that was created. He started a high-profile campaign that relied heavily on racism. Wow, imagine that. The head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics claimed that a majority of pot smokers were minorities, including African Americans, and that marijuana had a negative effect on these degenerate races, such as inducing violence or causing insanity. He also noted, now these are his words, not mine, so don't shoot me, but these were his words, reefer makes darkies think they're as good as white men. Yes, that's what he said. That is what a person in the federal government said in the 1930s. Even more worse is that pot was supposed to threaten white women's virtue. He believed that smoking pot would entice them into having sex with black men. Again, this is his words, not mine. Aided by the news media with such propaganda, such as films called Reefer Madness, Anslinger eventually oversaw the passage of the Marijuana Tax Act in 1937, making the drug illegal across the United States. But guess what? That law was declared unconstitutional in 1969. So what did they do? They replaced it with the Controlled Substance Act the following year, which is when classification of marijuana was placed as a Schedule I drug with heroin and LSD. And it's kind of interesting, too, that racism was also evident in the enforcement of this law. According to some studies, African Americans in the early 21st century were nearly 4 times more likely than whites to be arrested on marijuana-related charges, despite both groups having similar usage rates. I will say this, and here's my take. One, yes, it's racism, but also here's the reality. I have yet to see marijuana, pot, cannabis, whatever you want to call it, cause a bar fight. The only instance of domestic violence in pot I've ever seen or heard of is one of the partners smoked all of the pot and there was none left for the other person, so they get in an argument over who smoked the damn pot. That's the only time I've seen domestic violence come into place, and it really is domestic violence, but it's the only time they get in an argument about it is because who smoked all the pot, not causing fights like alcohol. The bottom line in The World According to Bo, pot is better for society than alcohol. So treat it like alcohol and legalize pot and tax it like alcohol. Disclaimer, I'm a licensed mental health therapist in California. If you're searching for mental health help, please reach out to someone in your state. If you're within California, you can reach me at the email below. And if you're interested in coaching anywhere in the United States, you can reach out below also. These videos are for educational purposes only, and if you're thinking about suicide, please reach out and call 911.